Hello everyone, and welcome back to The Other World. I'm your host, The Man Raven, and in today's episode we're going to be looking into more terrifying Bigfoot encounters. So sit back and relax. As always, take every story with a grain of salt. During the summer of 1985, a recent high school graduate living in North Carolina in the North Carolinian mountains experienced 3 consecutive nights of disturbing activity around his family home. It was the summer of 1985. I had graduated from high school and was trying to prepare for college. My mother had already taken a job about 50 miles away, so she stayed near her workplace during the week. Most of the time, I had the house to myself. Daytime temperatures in the North Carolinian mountains reached into the 80s, but at night it cooled into the 50s. There was no need for air conditioning. I would open the windows at the head of my bed and let the cold night air flow through the screen. One evening, after dropping my girlfriend off at her house, I drove home, opened my bedroom window, and went into the den. I kicked my feet up on the couch. The couch was about 5 feet from the front door. The door had a narrow window that was approximately 24 inches long and 6 inches wide. It extended from the top of the 7-foot door down to about the 5-foot level. Through it, I could see the remaining twilight and moonlight outside. I turned off the television, picked up my guitar, and played for a while. I had not been playing long when I suddenly felt as I was being watched. I put the guitar down and listened. We had a small porch outside the front door, approximately 12 feet across. I could hear the porch boards creaking. When I looked toward the door, the window was completely black. No moonlight was coming through it, and not even at the top. Something was blocking the entire window. Then the door began to jiggle. I shouted, asking, "Who's there?" But there was no answer. At that moment, I heard my grandfather's dogs approaching. They were barking wildly. Suddenly, the entire porch screeched, and the light reappeared through the window. The dogs ran past the house, barking the entire time. Whatever had been standing outside did not seem to like the dogs. I grabbed my 357 Blackhawk revolver and stood guard for the rest of the night. I did not leave the couch until daylight. Sorry, if you were wondering why I was laughing there, I just don't know if it's a 357 Blackhawk or a 35-7 Blackhawk. I'm not a gun guy, so I'm kind of stupid when it comes to these names, but I'm going to assume it's a 35-7 or fuck, no, it's a 357. That's what I'm going to assume, and that's what I'm going to call it, okay? The following day, we had a softball tournament at our local field. I arrived home just as it was getting dark. I did not turn on the television or any of the lights. I sat on the couch with my 357 and waited. At around midnight, I heard the porch squeaking again. This time I could clearly hear heavy footsteps. The door window turned completely black. Something grabbed the doorknob and began to shake it. I pointed the gun at the door and yelled, "I'll blow you to hell!" This thing screamed back, "Straight to hell!" It struck the side of the house while continuing to scream. When the screaming finally stopped, I heard my grandfather's dogs approaching again. The creature fled. I remained on the couch for the rest of the night, but at some point I dozed off. I awakened when the front door opened. I nearly shot my grandfather. It was daylight. He wanted to know whether I had been drinking the night before and if I had struck the porch with my Jeep, and how I managed to tear the siding off the outside wall. I walked outside with him. The porch had been knocked off its supporting pillars. Beside the front door, an impression resembling an arm had been embedded in the damaged siding. It was as thick as my leg and approximately 20 inches long. I told my grandfather what happened, but he didn't believe me. He insisted that I had come home drunk, driven into the porch, and beaten the siding with a baseball bat. We spent the day repairing the damages. When the third night arrived, my mother had returned home from work. I had to listen to a lecture about drinking, losing my temper, and striking the house with a baseball bat and driving into the porch. I went to my bedroom, opened the window to let in the cool night air, turned off the lights, and called my girlfriend Kelly. I had my own telephone and number. My mother had a separate line. That becomes important later. Kelly and I talked for a long time. Then I noticed a putrid odor filling my room. It smelled like urine and death. I could hear heavy footsteps outside. They sounded like 2-legged footsteps. I told Kelly about the odor. She laughed and suggested that it was a skunk. I told her no, I've smelled this before, and I could hear it walking. Then less than 24 inches from my head, I heard something breathing outside the window. It inhaled for what seemed like 15 seconds, then it exhaled with a low growl that seemed to last another 15 seconds. The breaths were long and slow and deep. I panicked and told Kelly what was happening. At first, she joked and said there was no way something could be outside my window. I told her I was going to shoot through the screen. The thing was already beside me. It was so close that I could feel its breath blowing towards me. I was scared to death. The breathing became louder and deeper. The stench made me feel sick. Then I saw a huge hand pressing against the window screen. It pushed the screen inward. I heard the dogs barking again, but this time their barking sounded different. They were making high-pitched yelps that sounded like pure fear. Suddenly, I heard a gunshot being fired. Immediately afterward, I heard blackberry bushes and grapevines being torn apart. A blood-curdling scream faded into the distance. Then I heard my grandfather's voice outside my window. He asked, "Are you all right?" Kelly had hung up and called my mother. My mother then called my grandfather. Kelly had heard the breathing and growling through the telephone. She could also hear the fear in my voice and realized that something was seriously wrong. My grandfather had fired a load of buckshots into what he would later call the bear's rear end and drove it away. The following day, my grandfather and I inspected the grapevines. They looked as though a truck had driven through them. In the middle of the garden, we found a perfect 5-toed footprints measuring approximately 20 inches long. The distance between the prints suggested strides of approximately 9 feet. I returned to my bedroom window. Imprinted the screen was a handprint approximately 3 times the size of my own hand. I could only imagine the amount of force required to bend the screen and leave such an impression. My grandfather told me that we would never speak of it again. So what do you guys think happened? Could this have been a real Bigfoot encounter or a made-up story? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Also, let me know what you guys would do if a giant Bigfoot creature was stalking you and, like, literally breathing down your neck. Like, I would have shat myself. I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, if I wake up and I just see a giant black mass out in my window and I'm just like I'm killing myself, dude. That's all I gotta say, man. The next story takes place during the early 1970s. A young Pennsylvanian couple drove into the mountains near South Williamsport to view the illuminated valley below. What began as a quiet evening beneath a full moon became a terrifying encounter with a massive hair-covered humanoid who attempted to open the door. I experienced a strange incident in the north-central Pennsylvania that I will never forget. Even now, thinking about it can make my body shake with fear. Ooh! Sorry. It happened during the early 1970s while I was attending community college. I overheard several classmates discussing the beauty of Skyline Road near South Williamsport, where they said you could see the entire Williamsport Valley. I convinced my boyfriend Chip to drive there with me. Unfortunately, we did not find the correct location. We ended up driving onto the neighboring mountain that was much higher and extremely isolated. It took us a while to reach the top. We did not see another vehicle anywhere along the road. It was cold, sometime in the middle of fall. Eventually, we reached the mountain's highest elevation and found a slightly cleared area where we could park. From there, we could see the entire valley. The view was beautiful, and full moon and stars filled the sky, and the city lights glowed far below us. At this point, we got naked and started to... I'm kidding, I added that part in. We were definitely alone on that mountain. It should have been a peaceful evening sitting in the car and enjoying the view. Instead, I suddenly felt an intense urge to make sure the doors were locked. I locked my door, then reached across and locked Chip's door. He laughed and asked, "Why are you locking the doors? We're the only 2 people here." I remained adamant. I wanted every door secured immediately. I even asked whether the rear hatch of his old Chevrolet, I want to say Vega, was locked. Chip assured me that the back of the vehicle was always locked. I could not explain my concern, but I felt deeply unease. Chip encouraged me to relax and enjoy the night sky. I finally tried to calm myself, and I leaned my back against the passenger door. Chip leaned over the central console and kissed me, where we were focused on each other and intently ignored a slight movement of the vehicle. Without warning, I felt an extreme powerful pull against the door behind me. At the same moment, the entire car began rocking violently. We both looked through my window. A very large humanoid creature was standing directly beside my door. It had both of its hairy hands wrapped around the exterior door handle and was forcefully pulling on it. The creature was so strong and determined that its efforts were rocking the entire vehicle. Chip and I screamed at the same time. Thankfully, my door remained locked. The creature was massive. It did not appear to have a clearly defined neck, and its face, arms, and body were covered with hair. Its shoulders and arms were extremely thick. I saw no indication that it was wearing clothing. It had apparently approached without either of us noticing and remained beside the car until we finally saw it. Chip grabbed his keys and immediately started the engine. As the engine rolled to life, the creature released the door, turned away from the vehicle, and headed directly down the mountain. It deliberately remained outside the beam of our headlights. It moved with unbelievable speed through a dimly lit forest. The area was filled with thick vegetation and painful barriers, yet the creature entered the terrain without hesitation. I cannot understand how anything human could move that quickly through such a dangerous area at night without a light. Within moments, it disappeared into the rugged landscape. I screamed at Chip, "Get us out of here!" As we drove down the mountain, I was shaking and crying. I repeatedly asked, "What did we just encounter?" Chip was equally confused and terrified. What we saw appeared to be some type of Bigfoot. At the time, that seemed impossible because rational people were not supposed to believe that Bigfoot existed. However, I know what I observed. The creature had no defined neck, hair covered its face, arms, and body. Its body was massive, with thick shoulders and powerful arms. It wore no visible clothing. It also behaved like an experienced hunter. It appeared beside the vehicle without warning. It may have been watching us before attempting to open my door. I believe we should immediately report the encounter to the police, but Chip said no one would ever believe us. I had often wondered what would have happened if the lock had failed while the creature was pulling on the handle. It was much larger than either of us, and we would have no way to defend ourselves. I also wondered why it had chosen my side of the vehicle. Did it understand that I was the female occupant? Had it been observing us and waiting for an opportunity? I believe a guardian angel warned me to lock those doors. Something placed that urgent thought in my mind before the creature arrived. I also believed it was a miracle that the lock held against the force being applied to it. The creature we encountered seemed cunning and dangerous. People may laugh at or deny the existence of Bigfoot, but Chip and I know how close the creature came to it reaching us. We were simply grateful that we escaped and we were able to return home. We never visit that mountain again. Many decades later, I searched online for reports of Bigfoot sightings in Pennsylvania. What I found convinced me that other people in the state have reported encounters with similar creatures. The experience was real enough for me, and I will never forget it. Yes, I believe in miracles, guardian angels, and Bigfoot. Do you blame me? So what do you guys think? Did she and Chip experience a Bigfoot encounter? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Was this real, a hoax, just a made-up fun story? Let me know what you guys think down below, and let me know what you guys would do if a Bigfoot creature was attempting to open your car door. I, again, would kill myself so fast that, I don't know, people would find me covered in shit, pissed, dead in dead in my car. But I don't know, man. That's just me personally. I don't carry guns with me. Maybe I should. But yeah, if you enjoyed today's episode, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and share the video around. And thank you so much for joining me in this adventure through the other world. I was your host, the Mad Raven, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye!